Let's start with the numbers. Over 630 enemy targets were struck by drone system forces in the past day. They published this information on their official page. In the past day, our drone system unit struck 200 occupiers, of whom 124 were eliminated. They also hit 6 launch points of Russian UAV pilots. The day before, they managed to strike 4 artillery systems, 4 tanks, and 32 armored vehicles. 33 cars, 10 motorcycles, and 32 UAVs, a pubcopter, and a wing. In total, during October, the unmanned systems forces struck more than 21,600 enemy targets, of which 6,368 were personnel of the enemy. An elderly woman was injured as a result of a Russian attack in the Dnipropetrovsk region. She was taken to the hospital with burns. This was reported by the acting head of the Regional Military Administration, Vladislav Ivanenko. In the evening, the occupiers attacked the Nikopol region about 15 times. Enemy drones targeted the Marhanets, Pokrovsky, and Miriv communities. Heavy artillery was also used. 3 private houses, an outbuilding, a power line, and a gas pipeline were damaged. The Russians continued to relentlessly shell the Kherson region as well. Yesterday, 5 settlements in the Kherson community, Sam Kherson, Sadov, Pridniprovske, Zelenivka, and Antonivka, came under enemy fire. 2 people were injured, and as a result of the attack, private and multi-story residential buildings as well as an administrative building were damaged. In addition, the enemy carried out intense shelling across the region. More than 30 settlements were hit. Unfortunately, 3 people were injured. As always, the enemy targeted residential neighborhoods and social infrastructure. At the same time, in Kherson, efforts continue to eliminate the consequences of Friday's massive shelling of the Ship district. As a result, houses there were damaged, windows were blown out, and yards were devastated. Utility workers, together with volunteers, are clearing the sites of the strikes and helping people secure their damaged homes. They have already managed to board up more than 400 windows in apartment buildings and private homes in Kherson. They risk their own lives to save the lives of others. Kherson's emergency medical workers go out to the sites of shelling every day, and more than once they themselves have come under enemy fire. How does the frontline city's emergency service operate? Ola Chitailo saw it firsthand and will tell us.
This video was provided to us by Kherson medics 2 years ago. In one of the city's districts right after the shelling, the ambulance rushes to the call and ends up under enemy attack itself.
Guys, we're losing Atov and everything. Abandon the vehicle.
Paramedic Roman was on that call. 2 years later, we meet him again.
We only go out wearing body armor, and for any call, we wear helmets.
He says that all this time they've been working with almost the same team, only now the job has become more dangerous and there are more shellings. And there are areas they no longer go into.
We no longer go to Kidika, Antonivka or Perekupska anymore. Now we only travel as far as the area known as 40 Rokiv. Ostriv? No, we don't go there anymore. Incoming shell.
They are trying to get used to something you simply can't get used to. With
each day it just keeps getting scarier and scarier, so it's already in your subconscious. For example, such as, as this.
Situations like the one in this video unfortunately happen often. Recently, the ambulance Roman was riding in came under drone fire. The paramedic's eardrum was damaged by the explosion. He didn't take any sick leave.
It was critical, let's say. What if there had been a rupture, an overflow, or something like that?
Along with Roman, Dr. Olena was also on that call. We meet again the next day when her team is starting their shift. She says it's a miracle that everything turned out okay back then.
A call came in. Child trauma. I went out on the call, drove along a dirt road near the youth center, and suddenly there was an explosion on the right side of the car, a shockwave. Too late. And I was left deafened.
What happened?
After the shelling, the police officer needs help. His arm is wounded. An FPV drone hit the vehicle.
These are recordings of the calls that were provided to us by the ambulance service.
A drone flew into the house. It's a blast injury, we don't know. Or did blood pressure spike at work? Today things are bad.
These calls are received here in the dispatch center. They find out the address and, as Roman said, decide whether they can go. Kherson ambulances are forbidden from going into the red zones. The sick and wounded are evacuated from there by the state emergency service, the military, and the police.
She died, Doctor. He was treating the victim when a drone dropped an explosive. He was hit by a drone again, and after that, red zones were designated for us.
Since the beginning of the year, 40 ambulances have been damaged in the city, says the medical director of the service. Everyone we talked to here has worked for many years. He survived the occupation and says that even though there is shooting now, it was scarier back then.
There weren't such shellings during the occupation, but this is immoral. You know, I'm sitting at work, providing help, or going out on a call, and then someone comes in with a machine gun. And just like that, you don't know if you'll come back or not. Well, and that's it. Always either drunk or high, you know.
The medics who work here risk their lives every moment. After all, in Kherson, even just getting to work is already a risk. This is
A terrifying job, it's unreal work, it's about going out there. And in the epicenter of all this, where everything is burning, exploding, the cries of the wounded, you need to have a different kind of nervous system for this. Sometimes even the ordinary sounds of life can be frightening too.
but they stay here because they know they're needed.
You understand that our Ukraine will win, that victory is ours. Kherson. Tired but not defeated. From
Kherson region, Olga Chatailo and Volodymyr Kovalenko, Fact TV. The only news.
Putin cynically justified attacks on civilians in Ukraine. The envoy of the Russian dictator Kirill Dmitriev, in an interview with CNN, called the attacks, including the one on a kindergarten in Kharkiv this week, accidents. At first, he claimed that Russia supposedly does not attack civilian targets, that it only aims at military ones. To this, the host responded. He said that he had been in Ukraine since the beginning of the full-scale war and had personally seen destroyed homes and the deaths of civilians. He also mentioned the drone strike on the kindergarten in Kharkiv, where 48 children were present during the attack. Putin's envoy replied that, quote, many accidents happen from time to time. He also shifted the blame onto Ukraine, claiming that such incidents supposedly occur when the Ukrainian armed forces shoot down aerial targets. At the same time, on Fox News, Dmitriev stated that a solution to the war against Ukraine could supposedly be found quite quickly, but for that the Kremlin demands the fulfillment of 3 conditions. According to Putin's representative, there aren't that many issues on the table. Moscow wants security guarantees, Ukraine's neutrality and territory. Moldova has decided to help Ukraine during the heating season. It has halved the gas transit tariff. This was reported by the country's National Energy Regulatory Agency. One of the routes for gas supplies to Ukraine passes through Moldova. For 6 months, that is, until April next year, the tariff will be reduced by 50%. The Moldovan Energy Regulatory Agency noted that in this way, it is strengthening its role as a regional transit corridor and facilitating the transportation of natural gas from Greece to Ukraine. The Romanian gas transmission system operator also announced a reduction in gas transportation tariffs. These decisions are a joint initiative of the gas transmission system operators of Greece, Bulgaria, Romania, and Moldova. They believe that this will help to strengthen regional energy security since Russia continues to attack Ukraine's energy facilities. The development of a recovery program for frontline territories and the economic growth of these regions. These were the main topics discussed at the forum of the Association of Frontline Cities and Communities. The event took place in Mykolaiv a few days ago. The forum participants included the heads of the Mykolaiv, Kherson, Odessa, and Zaporizhia regional military administrations, as well as the head of the Association of Frontline Cities and Communities. The mayor of Kharkiv and other participants discussed the urgent needs of their regions, including the construction of shelters, underground schools, and kindergartens. Special attention was given to proposals for next year's state budget and the economic opportunities of their communities. We
believe that the budget should allocate 64% of the personal income tax, PIT. We will firmly insist that there be a possibility for compensation, the cancellation of local taxes and fees, with subsequent compensation to communities from the state budget.
They also discussed the development of frontline territories during wartime. International support and investments are directed towards the recovery of affected communities.
On the contrary, this needs to be done in order to systematize the issues and address them at the state level, so that we can create not just regions or restore an oblast or a community, but points of economic growth for Ukraine, and we have every opportunity to do this.
After the forum, more than 100 communities from the southern regions signed memorandums of intent to join the Association of Frontline Cities and Communities.